20 shocking dirtiest and poor countries. The economic landscape of our world is a tapestry woven from threads of wealth and poverty, progress and stagnation. This exploration delves into 20 countries, offering a snapshot of their economic realities through the lens of GDP per capita. Number 20. Eritrea. Eritrea, despite gaining independence in 1991, faces challenges in its pursuit of development. The GDP per capita of $626 indicates limited access to necessities for the average Eritrean. A long period of mandatory military service and a strained relationship with neighboring countries have hampered economic growth and foreign investment. Agriculture employs a large portion of the population, with many relying on subsistence farming. This dependence on rain-fed agriculture makes them vulnerable to unpredictable weather patterns, as droughts can devastate crops and lead to food insecurity. The Eritrean government is taking steps to improve the situation. They are investing in infrastructure projects, promoting agricultural practices more resilient to drought, and attempting to attract foreign investment. However, achieving sustained progress requires political stability, a reduction in mandatory military service, and the creation of a more open environment for economic development. Eritrea's path to becoming a developed nation hinges on overcoming these challenges and creating a more diversified economy that goes beyond subsistence farming. Number 19. Bangladesh. Bangladesh, despite significant economic progress in recent years, still faces challenges in ensuring widespread prosperity. The GDP per capita of $2,650 indicates that, while surpassing India in this metric, many Bangladeshis continue to struggle to afford necessities. Limited access to quality education and healthcare can hinder social mobility and perpetuate poverty. A significant portion of the population, particularly in rural areas, relies on agriculture for their livelihood. This dependence on rain-fed agriculture makes them vulnerable to unpredictable weather patterns and floods. Bangladesh's story is also one of remarkable progress. The country achieved 100% household electrification in 2022 and boasts significant investments in infrastructure projects. The government is actively promoting economic diversification and attracting foreign investment. Bangladesh's path to becoming a developed nation requires sustained economic growth that benefits all citizens, investment in education and healthcare, and continued efforts to create a more diversified and climate-resilient economy. Number 18. Afghanistan. Afghanistan's economic situation is particularly challenging. The GDP per capita of $363 reflects the immense struggle for the average Afghan to afford necessities like food, water, and healthcare. Decades of war and political instability have severely damaged the country's infrastructure and hindered economic development. A significant portion of the population relies on subsistence farming for their livelihood, making them vulnerable to unpredictable rainfall and droughts. The recent political turmoil has further disrupted economic activity and discouraged foreign investment. Despite the difficulties, there are efforts underway to improve the situation. The international community is providing humanitarian assistance, and the government is attempting to rebuild infrastructure and revive basic services. However, achieving lasting progress hinges on establishing peace and stability, attracting foreign investment, and creating a diversified economy that goes beyond subsistence farming. The long road to becoming a developed nation will require sustained international cooperation and a commitment to rebuilding from the ground up. Number 17. Iran. Iran's economy presents a complex picture. Despite a GDP per capita of $5,453, indicating a higher standing than many countries on this list, sanctions and political instability create significant challenges. This translates to difficulty for some Iranians in affording necessities. The Iranian economy is characterized by its hydrocarbon reserves, alongside agricultural, service, and manufacturing sectors. However, international sanctions have hampered economic growth and limited access to foreign investment. Additionally, political instability can create uncertainty for businesses and discourage investment. Despite these challenges, Iran boasts a well-educated population, and a strong showing in the science and technology sectors. The government is working on diversifying the economy beyond oil dependence and developing its non-oil exports. Iran's path to becoming a fully developed nation requires a stable political environment, the lifting of sanctions to encourage foreign investment, and continued economic diversification that fosters job creation and improves living standards for all Iranians. Number 16. Togo. Despite recent economic growth, Togo remains a low-income country. The GDP per capita of $892 reflects the challenges faced by the average Togolese citizen in affording necessities. Poverty remains widespread, with a significant portion of the population relying on subsistence farming for their livelihood. This dependence on rain-fed agriculture makes them vulnerable to fluctuations in weather patterns, as droughts and floods can devastate crops and plunge families deeper into poverty. There are signs of progress. The government is investing in infrastructure projects, promoting agricultural practices more resilient to drought, and attempting to attract foreign investment. Initiatives are underway to develop the phosphate mining sector and expand the manufacturing industry. Togo's path to becoming a developed nation requires sustained economic growth, diversification beyond agriculture, and creating opportunities in the formal sector. Investments in education and healthcare are crucial for improving the lives of Togolese citizens. Continued political stability will also be essential to attract foreign investment and create a thriving economy. Number 15. Sierra Leone. Despite gaining independence in 1961, Sierra Leone remains one of the world's poorest countries. A brutal civil war that raged for decades left its infrastructure in ruins and its economy shattered. Political instability continues to be a major obstacle to development, discouraging foreign investment and hindering efforts to rebuild. This translates to a meager GDP per capita of $627, making it incredibly difficult for the average Sierra Leonean to afford necessities like food, clean water, and proper sanitation. Most people in Sierra Leone rely on subsistence farming for their livelihood, a precarious existence heavily dependent on unpredictable rainfall. However, the government is taking steps to improve the situation by investing in infrastructure projects, promoting agricultural practices that are more resilient to drought, and attempting to attract foreign investment. The long road to becoming a developed nation requires sustained peace, political stability, and a diversified economy that goes beyond subsistence farming. Number 14. Liberia. Liberia's story is one of gradual improvement, yet significant challenges remain. Despite a GDP per capita of $647, the average Liberian still faces difficulties affording necessities. Decades of civil war devastated the country's infrastructure and hindered economic development. Political instability continues to be a hurdle, discouraging foreign investment and hindering reconstruction efforts. Subsistence farming is the primary source of income for a large portion of the population. This heavy reliance on rain-fed agriculture makes them vulnerable to unpredictable weather patterns, as droughts and floods can wipe out crops and exacerbate poverty. There are signs of progress. The GDP per capita has shown a slight increase in recent years, indicating some economic growth. The government is investing in infrastructure projects, promoting drought-resistant crops, and seeking foreign investment to diversify the economy beyond agriculture. Liberia's path to becoming a developed nation requires sustained peace and political stability. Continued investment in infrastructure, education, and healthcare is crucial. Diversifying the economy beyond subsistence farming and attracting foreign investment are also key factors in improving the lives of Liberian citizens. Number 13. Guinea. Guinea, despite boasting mineral resources like diamonds and bauxite, grapples with widespread poverty. The GDP per capita of $994 indicates limited access to necessities for the average Guinean. Decades of political instability and corruption have hampered economic development and hindered foreign investment. A significant portion of the population relies on subsistence farming for their livelihood. This dependence on rain-fed agriculture makes them vulnerable to unpredictable weather patterns. Additionally, The mining sector, while a source of revenue, hasn't translated into widespread prosperity due to a lack of transparency and infrastructure investment. The government is taking steps to address these issues, focusing on improving governance, attracting foreign investment, and diversifying the economy beyond mining. However, achieving lasting progress requires overcoming political instability and ensuring equitable distribution of resource wealth. Investing in education, healthcare, and infrastructure development is also crucial for Guinea's path to becoming a developed nation. Number 12. Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso's economy is primarily based on subsistence farming and livestock raising. This translates to a meager GDP per capita of $900, making it difficult for the average Burkinabe to afford necessities like food, clean water, and proper sanitation. Highly variable rainfall, poor soils, and a lack of adequate infrastructure further hinder agricultural productivity. Despite these challenges, Burkina Faso is taking steps towards improvement. The government is investing in infrastructure projects to improve connectivity and facilitate trade. Efforts are also underway to promote agricultural practices more resilient to drought and attract foreign investment. However, the long road to becoming a developed nation requires sustained economic growth, diversification beyond agriculture, and overcoming obstacles like political instability and a low literacy rate. Number 11. Madagascar. Madagascar, an island nation known for its unique biodiversity, faces significant economic challenges. The GDP per capita of $454 reflects the difficulty the average Malagasy citizen has in affording necessities. Decades of political instability and corruption have hampered economic development and discouraged foreign investment. Subsistence farming is the primary source of income for a large portion of the population. This heavy reliance on rain-fed agriculture makes them vulnerable to unpredictable weather patterns, as droughts and cyclones can devastate crops and plunge families deeper into poverty. Additionally, deforestation and environmental degradation further threaten agricultural productivity. There are, however, efforts underway to improve the situation. The government is investing in infrastructure projects, promoting sustainable agricultural practices, and attempting to attract foreign investment in areas like tourism and mining. However, achieving sustained progress requires overcoming political instability, promoting good governance, and diversifying the economy beyond agriculture. Madagascar's path to becoming a developed nation hinges on creating a stable environment that fosters economic growth and improves the lives of all Malagasy people. Number 10. The Gambia. Despite its beautiful coastline and rich cultural heritage, the Gambia grapples with poverty. The GDP per capita of $682 indicates the struggle for the average Gambian to afford necessities like food, clean water, and proper sanitation. Tourism, a significant source of income, is heavily seasonal, leaving many Gambians with limited job opportunities throughout the year. Subsistence farming remains a crucial source of livelihood, especially in rural areas. This dependence on rain-fed agriculture makes them vulnerable to unpredictable weather patterns, as droughts can significantly impact harvests. Additionally, political instability in the past has discouraged foreign investment and hindered economic development. There are signs of progress. The government is focusing on promoting sustainable tourism practices, attracting foreign investment beyond tourism, and investing in infrastructure projects. Efforts are also underway to improve agricultural practices and make them more resilient to drought. The Gambia's path to becoming a developed nation requires continued economic growth, diversification beyond tourism and subsistence farming, and political stability. Investing in education, healthcare, and infrastructure development is crucial for improving the lives of Gambians. Number 9. India. India, a land of rich history and cultural diversity, is the world's fifth largest economy by nominal GDP and the third largest by purchasing power parity. However, despite its economic strength, India still grapples with significant challenges in terms of equitable distribution of wealth. The GDP per capita of $2,730 translates to a substantial disparity between rich and poor. A large portion of the population lives below the national poverty line, struggling to afford necessities like food. Limited access to quality education and healthcare further hinders social mobility and perpetuates poverty. While India boasts a booming service sector and technological advancements, agriculture remains a significant source of income for many, particularly in rural areas. This dependence on rain-fed agriculture makes them vulnerable to unpredictable weather patterns and droughts. Number 8. Yemen. Yemen's story is one of immense hardship. Years of civil war and political instability have caused a devastating economic crisis. The GDP per capita of $983 paints a stark picture of the struggle for the average Yemeni to afford necessities like food, clean water, and healthcare. The conflict has crippled infrastructure and displaced millions of people within the country. Many Yemenis rely on subsistence farming or informal work for their livelihood, with limited opportunities in the formal sector. The war has also disrupted food imports, leading to widespread hunger and malnutrition. There are international efforts underway to provide humanitarian assistance and promote peace talks. However, achieving lasting progress requires an end to the conflict, reconstruction of infrastructure, and investment in reviving the economy. Yemen's path to becoming a developed nation necessitates sustained peace, political stability, and a focus on rebuilding essential services and creating a diversified economy that provides opportunities for all Yemenis. Number 7. Nepal. Nepal, despite boasting stunning Himalayan beauty and rich cultural heritage, faces challenges in its economic development. The GDP per capita of $1,083 indicates that while there has been some improvement, affording necessities can still be a struggle for many Nepalese people. The mountainous terrain and limited infrastructure hinder agricultural productivity and accessibility to markets. A significant portion of the population relies on subsistence farming, making them vulnerable to unpredictable weather patterns like monsoons and droughts. Additionally, political instability and reliance on tourism, which is seasonal, can create economic uncertainty. Nepal is making strides toward progress. The government is investing in infrastructure projects, particularly in hydropower generation, to improve connectivity and provide a reliable energy source. Efforts are underway to promote more sustainable agricultural practices and attract foreign investment beyond tourism. Nepal's path to becoming a developed nation requires continued economic diversification, with a focus on sectors like hydropower and manufacturing. Investing in education, healthcare, and infrastructure development in remote areas is crucial for improving the lives of all Nepalese citizens. Political stability and a focus on long-term development strategies are also essential for sustained progress. Number 6. Rwanda. Rwanda's story is one of remarkable progress, but challenges remain. Despite a GDP per capita of $871, indicating improvement, the average Rwandan still faces difficulties affording necessities. The legacy of the 1994 genocide left deep scars on the nation's social and economic fabric. Rwanda has shown tremendous resilience. The government prioritizes stability and invests heavily in infrastructure development, promoting a business-friendly environment. This has attracted foreign investment and bolstered sectors like tourism and information technology. While agriculture remains a significant source of income for many, efforts are underway to modernize farming practices and increase agricultural productivity. The government also emphasizes education and skills development to equip Rwandans for jobs in the growing formal sector. Number 5. Uganda. Uganda, often referred to as the Pearl of Africa for its stunning natural beauty, faces a complex economic landscape. While the GDP per capita has risen to $1,085, indicating some progress, many Ugandans still struggle to afford necessities. This limited economic growth can be attributed to several factors. Overdependence on agriculture, particularly coffee exports, exposes Uganda to the volatile winds of global commodity prices. Additionally, A significant portion of the population relies on subsistence farming, producing just enough to survive. This precarious existence leaves them highly vulnerable to food insecurity, especially during periods of drought. The high poverty rates paint a stark picture, highlighting the challenges faced by the average Ugandan citizen. Number 4. Kenya. Kenya's economic story is a paradox of progress and disparity. Despite boasting a significant GDP of $104 billion and achieving lower middle-income status, the average Kenyan still faces challenges in affording necessities. This inequality persists due to a significant gap in wealth distribution. While the nation thrives with a robust service sector and diverse economy, the GDP per capita of $2,099.30 paints a different picture for many Kenyans. Dependence on weather-sensitive subsistence farming and limited access to education and healthcare leave many struggling to make ends meet. Kenya's path to becoming a fully developed nation hinges on achieving inclusive economic growth that benefits all citizens. Diversification beyond traditional sectors and a focus on ensuring equitable distribution of resources are essential. Number 3. Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe's economic story is one of struggle and resilience. Despite a GDP per capita of $2,860, indicating a slight improvement, many Zimbabweans grapple with affording necessities. Years of economic mismanagement and political instability have left scars on the nation's infrastructure and productive capacity. A significant portion of the population relies on subsistence farming, making them vulnerable to unpredictable weather patterns like droughts. Inflation remains a persistent challenge, eroding purchasing power and hindering economic growth. The formal job market struggles to provide adequate opportunities, forcing many into informal work. There are signs of hope. The government is taking steps to stabilize the economy and attract foreign investment. Efforts are underway to revive agriculture and promote drought-resistant crops. Investing in infrastructure development and improving the business environment are also crucial aspects of the recovery plan. Number 2. Laos. Laos, a Southeast Asian nation known for its stunning natural beauty and rich cultural heritage, grapples with pockets of significant poverty despite a modest GDP per capita of $2,539. While economic growth is on the rise, many Laotians still struggle to afford necessities. Rugged terrain and limited infrastructure hinder agricultural productivity and access to markets in mountainous regions. Subsistence farming remains the primary source of income for a large portion of the rural population, making them vulnerable to unpredictable weather patterns like floods and droughts. The government is prioritizing infrastructure development, particularly in transportation, to improve connectivity and facilitate trade. Efforts are also underway to promote sustainable tourism practices and attract foreign investment in sectors beyond mining. Laos's path to becoming a developed nation necessitates continued economic growth that benefits all citizens, a focus on rural development, and diversification beyond agriculture and mining. Number 1. Tajikistan. Tajikistan, a Central Asian nation nestled amidst towering mountains, faces challenges in its pursuit of development. The GDP per capita of $870 reflects the difficulty for the average Tajikistani to afford necessities like food, clean water, and proper sanitation. A large portion of the population relies on remittances sent back home by migrant workers, often in neighboring Russia. Subsistence farming and small-scale herding are also common sources of income, but limited arable land and a harsh climate can make it difficult to produce enough for a family's needs. The government is investing in hydropower generation to improve energy security and attract foreign investment. There's also a focus on developing Tajikistan's agricultural sector and improving irrigation systems. Tajikistan's path to becoming a developed nation requires continued economic diversification, creating more formal sector jobs, and improving access to education and healthcare. Our journey through these 20 economies reveals a world of immense contrasts. While some nations boast impressive GDP figures and well-developed infrastructure, others struggle to meet the basic needs of their citizens. Building a diversified economy that is resilient to external shocks is also essential for long-term growth. Ultimately, the path to prosperity requires sustained economic development that benefits all citizens, fostering a world where opportunity thrives. Thank you so much for watching our video. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to get all the latest updates every day. We will meet you in the next video.